Have you ever watched an anime and thought, man, you could make a really cool game out of this? I have. In fact, I've always kind of thought anime is a medium that works uniquely well for making games. There's so many interesting concepts, so many of them revolve around combat, and have interesting stories that could be easily adapted in many ways to a video game. Not to mention, most anime fans play games. Like, bro, have you seen the average Discord user? So I'm sure you can imagine my excitement when I found out that there's an anime game to go along with most of your favourite shows. Okay, I don't think it's a secret that there's a ton of issues with a lot of these games. I mean, we don't have to look far to find an example. Oh, no way. It's my favorite character. Oh, and a really powerful villain. No way, they're having a really famous fight right now, guys. To be honest, I don't think I'm the only person who thinks JJK should have gotten better treatment, and there's so many other anime that deserve good adaptations as well. One game that in my opinion sets the benchmark at the minimum for what we should demand from studios is Attack on Titan. And no, I don't mean that terrible game on the DS. I'm talking about AOT 2 Final Battle. Now I don't know how actually popular or well known this game is, because I haven't really seen that many people talking about it, but when I played it, can't lie, I thought it was peak. I actually have a distinct memory of downloading the demo and playing it over and over and over again when I was like 15, just because I couldn't get the full game. And it was just so well done. It was like the combat was like fluid, the ODM gear, it felt like you were really using the ODM gear in the show. And honestly, the graphics were actually quite like well done for like what kind of looked like a cheap like AOT game. And I will say the font was a bit off-putting because it was basically just the default Word document font that I'm basically reading the script off the same font in the game at this point. But apart from that, like honestly, I was quite impressed. They had you could make your own character, self-insert. You know, you could create like bonds with the other characters. Like it's basically exactly what an anime fan would like want when they think about what they want out of the game, basically. And it wasn't done on like a crazy budget. It felt like it felt like a cheap game, but just the important things were there. And this level of quality and beyond could be adapted. For example, I don't know. Let me think for a second. JJK. I mean, it's not even hard. Imagine a game retelling the events of the show, where you get to play as your own self-insert and fight through key events with an actual good combat system. I mean, there's literally no shortage of games to draw inspiration from. You don't have to just make a clone of every other 3D anime fighter out there. Naruto. They could even let you like interact and form relationships with other characters like in Attack on Titan, which doesn't even have to be like much effort of a system at all, because I mean, and again, the one in AO2 Final Battle 2, like it wasn't like super advanced, but like just having that in at all, like it adds so much. And trust me, if I was able to be involved, Gojo would still be alive after the Shibuya incident, I'll tell you that much.
Are you serious?
This level of quality though is just like really the baseline. It could be pushed so much further. I mean, even AO2 could be pushed further. For example, like the devs could create anime exclusive storylines, which like could be canon, for example, and like it could incorporate new lore that's exclusive from the game and expand on the world building from the manga and the show. And you could make the game follow like level-based programming, like for example, like in Sekiro, where you play through the level and like you try and like get to the end of the section, but it's kind of like open world in a way, but it's like it's narrow, and that way you don't have to have the budget of like a huge open world game, but you can still like feel like you're moving, and like you can still feel like, you know, the world is like it's kind of open. Because I mean, you know, in JJK, I don't know, for some reason I feel like it wouldn't work that well with like just a level-based system. JJK and AOT are both shows mainly focused on fighting, allowing for like obvious gameplay loops that, you know, they're present in the show. So what about like a game from a genre that is different than that? Could they realistically get good adaptations? Well, if we look at a show like Death Note, this show is mainly focused on the Kira case of murders, which is a case of supernatural murders where criminals are just dropping dead of heart attacks for no fucking reason. And it's focusing on the cat and mouse game between Kira, who is the criminal that's doing it by writing in the death note, and Elle, who is basically like a super detective, like Batman on crack. And the whole anime is basically like a cat and mouse mind game between these two characters. So is there any real way that we could really make this in a game? Well, I mean, obviously Among Us, like, it's right there in front of us. I'm just kidding. I'd like to present to you the Zero Escape series. So this is a series of games that basically, it's a mystery puzzle solving game, which has like murder mystery and like puzzle solving elements. And it's also like done in a visual novel style. And honestly, some of these games are some of the best games that I've ever played in my life. Like, despite the simplicity and despite like they aren't like AAA high budget games, the way that it was done was just so perfect for me that it's really, really up there. Enough yapping from me now though. To get onto the actual reason why it's relevant is the game basically revolves around segments of talking to other characters in visual novel aspects and then solving puzzles and like riddles to escape like rooms basically, or you'll die. It's basically like a death game, and the whole game is kind of like, you know, you have the puzzle elements of solving the mysteries, but you also have the mystery elements of like, why are you there, why do some characters die? No spoilers, I'm not going to tell you who dies. You know, these are just some examples of like the themes here. And this type of game, honestly, I feel like it would match perfectly for a Death Note inspired game. Because Death Note isn't really about action or anything, it's about the back and forth and like what way to make the player use their brain than like a puzzle solving, you know, visual novel type game. And again, it doesn't have to be boring, it could be like an anime original or a game original plot that world builds. Like, for example, like it could be, you know, maybe like it could be like an arc between Elle and Light that we didn't see adapted, or it could be like something earlier on in the timeline before maybe even like Light got the Death Note, maybe when Elle was on a case previously, which I mean, we've seen games and media adapt that point, so why not now? And then like the same could be done for something like Black Butler. There could be a visual novel puzzle type game that adapts Black Butler, which isn't like, it's like less, I mean, there's some action in that show, but less action. I think that could be very effective instead of just doing it like the generic, you know, 3D walking sim basically. Okay, but this last game is being talked about purely out of personal vendetta. The first anime game I think I ever played was this obscure unknown game I'm sure none of you ever heard of, called Jump Force. And yeah, I think you can tell where this is going. Well, to tell you the truth, me and my friend actually played this game quite a bit back when I was around 15. And I won't lie, at the time, I was having a blast. The idea that I could play as Yu-Gi-Moto and actually attack with the heart of the cards was just too badass for my younger self to be unbiased. However, even then, I could tell that there was literally like zero soul when it came to about 70% of the production of this game. Which to me is a massive shame, because I think there is actually like a skeleton of something great here. The idea of teaming up and like battling with all these different characters from your favorite shows in like a consistent and coherent like art style. I mean, I don't think the art style was terrible of Jump Force, you know, and if it had some sort of like good plot to it and it had some sort of like interest, I guess if it had more substance to it, I feel like it could be like, you know, it could be really good. That about wraps up my thoughts on the topic, and I just hope the genre takes more advantage of the potential it has. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, then sub so you can stick around for more, and thank you.